In this video I'm going to show you the setup that we recommend for using a Sony 1500 or similar camera. Here we are on the set in Shepperton Studios in England on a show called The Love Machine for Sky Living. Here we're using full telemetry, HD SDI, and we're actually using a receiver on a secondary channel to use as return video. In this case we're using it for the auto cue. So auto cue comes up there and allows the Steadicam to be completely wireless for auto cue as well. So starting the back of the camera, we have the transmitter. It's getting fed SDI from the camera via the BNC SDI 1 into our SDI input, and it's getting power from the 12 volt out Hiroshi 4-pin from the camera, and that's being fed into our 4-pin Hiroshi on the back of our transmitter. So that's how the camera's getting power. We're also looping out of that at the D-tap of the V-lock, and this could also be an Anton Bauer depending on what batteries you're using. And that power is coming out and actually feeding the tally light system, which in this case is being stuck on the back of the camera. The reason for this is because John Clark, the Steadicam operator, actually has his own internal tally system within the Steadicam rig, and so he's able to tap out of our tally system with this cable here, and then that gets it into his own rig, and he sorts out his tally from that point onwards. Normally this box here would probably be stuck onto the front of the lens or on top of the camera. There's actually 4 LEDs, are super bright for the front and then reds for left, top and right, and so that gives the rig the tally system. So that's the main transmitter and the tally system on the back of the camera. On top of the camera we have the transceiver for the full telemetry system. So in the OB truck outside we're using an original Sony RCP. This is a 2.4 spread spectrum device, so it happily coexists with Wi-Fi. It uses a very small amount of data and is able to sense other units using the 2.4 spectrum and picks relevant spaces in between any interference. So that, even though it's on 2.4, seems to survive extremely well with Wi-Fi around the area. So out of that unit is a 8-pin Hiroshi, which comes out of there and goes into the remote of the camera. You can just see there, and that's an 8-pin Hiroshi in the back there, so it's an 8-pin to 8-pin cable. That also gets power out of that cable as well, so you don't actually need to power that unit. It gets the power from its 8-pin straight from the back of the connector on the camera. The antenna setups, I usually recommend something like that for a studio environment. So you basically want each of the antennas on a different type of angle, a different type of direction as the other, all different to each other. So you can see there I've got some to the left, some to the right, some 45 degrees, and one of them is up and down. So that's the usual setup I do for studio setups. And then on the bottom here we have a receiver which is receiving the signal from a transmitter which is backstage, and that's receiving the teleprompter video. So that's a receiver that's on the bottom of the rig, and in this case we're actually coming composite out, which is being fed up to the top monitor for the auto cue. That could be anything. You could use that for return video, so you can be feeding HD SDI if you like, or SDI or composite, doesn't really make much difference. The important thing here is because these are on similar frequencies, or certainly the same band, you need to get some separation between these two units. So you have to have the receiver on the bottom of the rig and the transmitter on the top. If you were to have this if you have this receiver, say sitting up here, then what happens is you have receiver antennas which are literally centimeters away from transmit antennas on a similar band, and it blows it out, and it won't work. So you can't actually have return video or auto cue in a shoulder mount environment because the receiver and the transmitter are just too close to each other. You need to have a few feet of separation to allow that receiver to not be swamped by the transmitter which is on top of the rig. So that's the general setup we have for studio-based live TV and live to tape, using the Meridian system with the primary, the tally, the telemetry and the return video for either program or for the auto cue.